Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we are back at Red River Gorge for our third adventure. So it's going to be 3 days, sorta kinda. 2 days camping, and then hopefully the third day we'll get to go home. But yeah, come join us. We're gonna get up, we're gonna go, and it's gonna be a fun little time. Come on. Alrighty, so the time is now 11:23 a.m. and we are beginning our route. We will tune back in whenever we have something awesome to show you. But until then, stay tuned.
The backpack's gonna be hard to get under there.
Did you even know what did?
You get back up? Oh my God. This is gonna be difficult. Sit down. Man, aren't you cool? I'll let the fools do it the other way.
So the time is now 12:54. We've been hiking about 2.5 hours or so. We've come to a break in the trail. So this way here is the continuation of Rough Trail 221. And then over this direction, we saw that there is a sign saying that there is a Daniel Boone hut this way, about half a mile or so out. So yeah, we're gonna go see if we can find that hut. That'll be something neat to look at. So we're gonna take a short little detour, and then after that, then we'll come back and get back on Trail 221.
I'd be more concerned that our
See you then. We're about 10 minutes or so down the Daniel Boone Hut Trail. And yeah, there's some big old rocks, of course. Looks like there might be a cave up on this hillside here. So here what we have behind us is the white-haired goldenrod plant. It is an extremely rare species of plant that's only found here in Red River Gorge. What makes it so significant is the fact that it only grows under rock shelters, and it grows in patches like you see here behind us, and then it can also grow individually. But unfortunately, you know, not only is it only allowed to grow under rock shelters where it's protected from hard rains and things like that, but it's the fact that it's only located here in the gorge makes it even rarer. The plant basically has on its leaves long white hairs, and that's where it gets the white-haired goldenrod name, is from the long white hairs on the leaves. We can't get any closer, but if you take a close look at it, you can sort of tell just from here that all the leaves have a sort of white tint to them. But yeah, that's something neat that we found here. We're still heading up this trail here behind us to the hut of Daniel Boone. So stay tuned and we'll see you then. I scared Austin. He's right around this corner here.
Ah, hello, little boy. Welcome to our forest.
Oh, this moss is wet as fuck.
After passing up the goldenrods, we all kind of took a break on the side of the path here, and Liz and Austin were close to this little wooden pillar, and I heard them clamoring about something. They're like, what is that? What is that? It looks like mold. And I go over and I look, and sure enough, there's this little fuzzy ball, this little thing here, and it's just crawling around like you see on this stick. And I'm like, what is that? So I try to pick it up to analyze it and kind of look at it and see, you know, what it is. Obviously, it's a bug of some sort. And I notice it has clear little legs. I didn't notice any mouth or anything along those lines. All it looked like was a fuzzy little ball crawling around on this wooden post. And it kind of confuzzled me. I was like, I've never seen anything that looks like this before. So I made a mental note, and I was like, whenever we get home, this has got to be like the first thing I look up. I have to learn what this bug is. And so I came home, and I was looking up all kinds of stuff. I was looking up, like, bugs that cover themselves in mold, fungal infections on small bugs, or bugs that are known to look like mold, you know, stuff like that. And I really wasn't finding anything. So then I started doing image searches to see if maybe I could find something that just looks like this. And what I came across is what is called a trash bug or a junk bug, depending on, I guess, who you ask. But it was super weird. And I was like, okay, it's a trash bug, but what is it actually? So I do some more research to find out that it is this scary looking thing. This here is a lacewing larva. And the reason that the one that we found didn't look like this is because some lacewing larvae like to camouflage themselves. And this part here kind of grosses me out because, you know, I had touched it, but apparently all that stuff on its back is not mold. What it really is debris from different things, basically like dead bug stuff. Like random bug body parts, maybe some spider silk, who knows. It's just random nasty garbage that the larva collects, and it will basically collect it on its back. And it'll camouflage itself from larger predators. But that's just such a cool thing, right? And apparently it's a predator larva, which makes it a good garden insect. So if you see these around your home, I guess don't kill them because they'll eat, you know, the insects that are eating your plants. But yeah, that's just some really cool information, and we'll just continue on with our trip. Hopefully we see some more interesting little animals.
Okay, so we are actually approaching up on the hut at the moment. Austin's ran ahead and told us where it's at. So we're about to go meet up with him. Okay, well this is it, I guess. This is our shelter, or hut, as they call it. It's in a really cool spot, actually. She's coming. It's a massive cliff overhang, though.
It's fucking awesome.
Oh, it used to be a mine? Oh, so this isn't the hut. Oh. Oh. Well, that's probably why they don't want people going back there then. They don't want them going down the old mine shaft.
Like holes and stuff, so I think the mine was done that way. His hut's right here. See, that was the mine shaft probably. It looks like it's collapsed.
You would think they would excavate that back out.
What am I in? What are they mining for? Coal?
Niter mining. The remains of wooden troughs and crude fireplaces in this rock shelter are evidence of mining for the chemical potassium nitrate, an ingredient used in gunpowder. Niter mining consisted of putting sandstone fragments into boiling water to reduce them to sand. Cold water poured through the sand leached out the niter. The cold water solution was allowed to evaporate to leave nitrate crystals. Production of niter was known to have taken place in this region between 1804 and 1814, and during the Civil War, Lexington had 6 powder mills operating in 1810. Daniel Boone Hut. A board or shake with the name D. Boone carved on it was found in the wall of this hut by 3 Kentuckians in 1959. The discovery led to speculation that Daniel Boone camped in this rock shelter. Attempts to accurately date the time of the hut construction have met with little success. An archaeological study, yet to be made, may offer clues to this puzzle and help reconstruct other historical events. Before we go along with the rest of our journey, I kind of want to just take a minute here to talk about the D. Boone Hut and kind of my findings on it. Because at the time, whenever I first read those plaques, I sat there and I scratched my head and I thought, you know what? This story that they're trying to tell me just doesn't add up. Something about these numbers is not quite right. And it kind of turns out from my research that I was possibly and more than likely completely correct. So if you didn't also notice the strange inconsistencies, let me please go back and point them out to you. For starters, we have the nitrate plaque here. And in this nitrate plaque, it says that there was a nitrate mine in this location around 1804. in this location, which I would assume would be right here, almost where this plaque was. In fact, you can kind of even see where a mine possibly was, but it looks sort of caved in now. And then, just about maybe 10 foot away or so, on this plaque, the D. Boone Hut plaque, it says that a shake or a plank of wood, some form of small piece of wood with the name D. Boone carved in it, was found here in 1959. Now, at first, you would think, why the world was that shack and that piece of wood found so late whenever there had already been plenty of people here many, many years before this? Why? Why did they not find it? Why was this just sitting here and no one touched it? The only thing I could think of was maybe the mine was just somewhere else and they just put this plaque here just to show that it was in this area. But then at the same time, that seems not true, because the way the plaque puts it, it was literally right here. It was in this area. So I decided to dive in deep on the situation myself and go look up this so-called archaeological study that the D. Boone plaque says is about to happen. Well, so it turns out if you go to Google and you type in D. Boone Hut archaeological study, not a daggone thing about an archaeological study ever pops up anywhere. It's literally only information about the trail. And that's it. And in fact, most of them don't even talk about the historical site at all. They only talk about the trail. Which I thought was weird. Like, you'd think if there was an archaeological study being done by like a university, say, or a scientific organization, you'd think they would have that posted online. That seems like it would be a pretty big deal. But it wasn't. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe it is just, a small little thing being done by a university, and maybe that's why it's not being posted online. Then I started looking up pictures of the site to see if I could find anything, showing anything different about the site. Well, as far as I could tell from images, the oldest image I could find was from like 2012-ish. And in that picture, the place looks exactly the same. It has the fence up around it, has the same exact plaques, and even in those images, those plaques look just as old then as what they do now. So now I was thinking, well, these plaques, they're old. They're very old looking, especially for something that's been under, like, shelter. Like, they haven't been sitting out in the elements, really. So you wouldn't think they would look that old. So how long have those plaques been there? And I didn't figure that out. I have no idea how long those plaques have been there. If anybody knows, please tell me. But they do look very old. I would say maybe late 90s at least. Early 2000s, maybe? But anyway, on with the story. So I found a website eventually. It was an old style history blog page, basically. But on this page, the person talks about their findings. And on there, at first, they're talking about just the site itself, what it looks like, what the plaque itself says. And then they go on a little history rant about Daniel Boone, which is what I might as well give you it too, just to give you some context about what I'm going to talk about. So, Daniel Boone in the 1950s to 1960s-ish had a sort of resurgence. There was a Daniel Boone movie, comics, a TV show, I believe. Several things that came out about Daniel Boone. And almost all of it was fiction. But it was just based off the historical figure. And, of course, that's where you get the whole coonskin hat wearing Daniel Boone. In fact, nice little fact check for you. Daniel Boone is actually never known to have worn a coonskin hat. Ever. That's just a thing that some person who was drawing a picture or making the movie thought, oh yeah, that would make him look like a frontiersman, So anyway, 1960s, there was this big resurgence. And then, since Daniel Boone has such a deep connection with Kentucky, being, like one of its main founders, Kentuckians saw this time to kind of, get a nice little cash grab. Everybody and their mother would come out. They would say that they had some ancient artifact that was owned by the great Daniel Boone, and they would put it up for tourism, get some tourist money out of it. Due to the time period of this site being in 1959, it's like that's very coincidental, I think, the fact that this piece of wood was found in 1959 whenever all this fraud about Daniel Boone was happening. But nonetheless, I cannot prove that. However, this web page also goes on to state that, number one, the shack, which used to apparently be actually at the site, but it was torn down by vandals several years before the writing of that post, which I believe was somewhere around 2012. The copyright date on the page is 2012. So I'm going to say that the page at least wasn't updated since probably 2012, and more than likely that post was done then. So a few years before 2012, the shack was torn down by vandals, right? But the shack that was there, most scientists believe, was not right. Like, they didn't think it was connected to Daniel Boone in any way, just from its construction. Number one, apparently it had shingles that it was built out of, which wouldn't make sense for a frontiersman, especially if you're just making a temporary shelter on a hunting expedition. They said the shack just didn't make sense the way it was built at all. Apparently, there's another story that states that the shack was actually built by a group of kids. So it was like their clubhouse. I guess they, probably lived close by. They would walk out to the spot, and it was like their cool hangout. Which, as a kid, I would think this was a pretty awesome hangout if I had it all to myself. But then they go on in this page to talk about the archaeological study. And according to the archaeological study, the wood was tested. The wood was found to be pretty old. They never got an actual date, I don't believe, out of it, but they said it was very old. But the carving on the wood did not seem to be as old as the wood itself. Well, if you go along with the story of the kids were thought to have built the structure out of a old farm building of some sort, probably a barn, which would explain, if this is old, worn barn wood, why the wood would have came back so old. And then you get these guys that just, in 1959, walk up, they see this structure. They're like, wow, this is a really old little thing. What do you think this was? You think this was Daniel Boone? Well, of course, they wouldn't talk like that. They're Kentuckians. They're more like, hey, Jim Bob, you think this here shelter was built by that great Daniel Boone fella that everybody's so confounded about here lately? And he's like, you know what, Bobby Joe? I bet you right. I bet this was by Daniel Boone. He said, but how we gonna prove it? He said, oh, we're gonna write his name on this stick here. We're gonna give it to one of them smart fellers, and they're gonna come down here and test it on us. and it's almost guaranteed how it happened. They thought they were gonna get some good old university money out of it by saying that this little shack they found in the middle of the woods belonged to Daniel Boone, and they just ran with it this far, and they're not gonna change it. Of course, no, that's tourist money that you're getting right now. I hope that didn't spoil it too much for you, but that's what I found, and that's what, I believe to have happened. It's not 100% confirmed. Who knows? But even if it wasn't Daniel Boone's shack, the history behind this place alone is very fascinating, and it was really fun to learn about. And if any of you out there online know any more about the site that maybe I didn't figure out or I didn't learn, please do comment down below and tell me, because I would really love to find out some more about it. But until then, let's finish on up with our trip and continue on the trail.
Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, and as tough as a mighty oak tree.
So the time is now 2:27 in the afternoon. We are actually sitting here right now, and we are boiling us some water to make us some good old grub. So yeah, we forgot some of our silverware, so we only have one spork. That's it. But it's okay, because I just sent Austin off on the trail to hunt for some wood to make some more spoons and stuff out of. So we'll see how that works out. We'll come back in later. Alrighty, so we got our wooden spoons made, and the beef stroganoff here looks pretty delicious.
Okay, so
So yeah, I guess we're gonna sit here and enjoy our food, and we'll see y'all later. Alrighty, so now we are heading back down into the valley from where we stopped to eat, close to the hut. And it's starting to thunder a little bit, so that's kind of worrisome. We knew it was gonna storm quite a bit on this trip, but I wasn't expecting it to start this soon. So hopefully we can kind of get back down off this hill before it starts getting too bad. So yeah, stay tuned. Also, check out the cool hat. We are now back at that intersection, heading up Rough Trail 221 now. The storm clouds, you can kind of see it. It's kind of getting dark, so we might be getting rained on pretty soon. So we're going to try to get as far along this as we can. Maybe we'll find us a little overhang or something to crouch down in for a few minutes.
Can it rain yet?
Okay, so we're getting pretty high up on this ridge line now. We're still looking for that rock shelter. The thunder and lightning is getting significantly closer, but I think we still got plenty of time. We've made it up close to the top of the ridge line. We are currently underneath this big overhang. It is pouring out there. I guess that means that we made it just in time. We're gonna rest up here for a little bit, get our water filled up while it's raining, and then we'll move on after it stops, I guess. Now it is officially 5 o'clock somewhere. The rain has subsided and we filled up our water bottles. So now we're gonna continue heading up the trail here, and hopefully we find a good place to camp. See y'all then. You think from up here at the top we can get down into it?
Climb down the cliff.
Well, no, I mean like up at the top. If there's a cave that goes up into the rock, it might go out the top. But I don't think you're getting up that way, Bubba. I want to try to go to the top and see if I can see a way in. Very, very slippery. And there's more grapple points maybe. But these shoes that I'm wearing aren't the best. And so I don't really trust it. Especially as wet as it is. If it was drier and I had more of a grip maybe. But like, you can see how easy that foot slides off there. Like I can't even get any grip to climb up this first little part here, so getting up that steeper section would be probably pretty dangerous. So we're just gonna go back down. All right. On we go. Okay, well, we went the wrong way through a very thick old trail, I guess is what it is, maybe a runoff. And now we gotta backtrack back to the cave that we were at. Oh, which is gonna take a few minutes because this is a very thick little area. Okay. currently at an intersection at the top of this hillside. We're trying to figure out which way we're supposed to be going.
It seemed as though as soon as we got to the top of the ridgeline, we were quickly being swept back down into the underbelly of the gorge by these monolithic staircases. We knew it was late and darkness was approaching, but the overhanging foliage made it seem though darkness was already here. By this time we were tired and ready to make camp, but thus far any campsite in view was rather posted that we couldn't camp there or another occupants had already taken it. So we were in a hurry. Will we find camp, or will we be stranded in the darkness in the middle of the woods? Find out on the next episode of Our Journey 3. Hey there, Lucas here. If you like that video, remember to like, subscribe, share us around to friends and family, and leave some comments down below and tell us how we're doing. But until next time, we'll see you then.